Listen, everybody disagrees on something. And there are times where disagreements can go too far. And sometimes those disagreements can become something that will hinder or even destroy relationships. But one of the things that we have to do when we're married is learn how to overcome our disagreements. We've had arguments before. We call them heated debates.
Yes.
And sometimes if we don't get these things under control in relationships, these things can fester and become something that's very problematic for your relationship. So you have to learn how to get some control over, one, our tempers, two, our mouths, because we can say too much sometimes, and just our everyday ability to manage ourselves. So we want to talk a little bit just about how to overcome a disagreement in a marriage.
Sometimes you cannot talk about something that you are upset about right when it has happened, right after it's happened. Sometimes you have to take a moment to take a breather.
Yep.
Hey, give me about 5 minutes or give me a little time and let me get it together, because you have to know who you're with, and you have to know their hot zone. So if they say, give me a few minutes or give me a little while, I promise you I'll come back to it, but I need a minute.
Yep.
Or if they walk out, or something, and why, accept that. Don't try to force them to talk to you right then. Don't try to, prove your point at that particular time, because it's only going to cause more problems for your relationship.
That's a good point. The other thing that, we do our best to try not to do is to leave the house or wherever, especially if we're arguing at home. Don't leave the house in a rage, get in the car, drive off, because what happens if you don't make it back? You've left in a rage. The best thing you can do is go to another room. Just go to another room. You've got another room that you can go to and sit down and cool off and get yourself together, regroup, and then come back when you can actually talk civilly and not cause problems or more heat or add more, what do they call it, more fuel to the fire. Don't do that. So really take some time to separate if necessary, but whatever you do, don't leave in a rage, because you don't want something to happen. And we're not speaking ill will on anybody, but if you're at home and you're arguing, stay home. Just find a different room. Now, there are times where you might not be at home, and if you're out in public, it's okay to walk away for a few minutes. Give me a minute. Let me go to the restroom. Go and cool off and come back and try to get yourself together, so where you can actually have a communication system in place where you can really talk. Right.
And you need to be at a point where you can communicate that, though.
Yeah.
Because if you're out in public, you don't want to leave the other one, just leave them. Like,
True.
Okay, I know he's going to cool off.
Right.
No, you need to communicate that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go to the restroom for a minute. I'll be right back. Or something to help diffuse, the fire, to put out the fire. Also, you have to remember that you are in love with this person.
Right.
You love this person, right? And so you shouldn't want any ill will or anything to come to them. So when you're talk in love. Of course you can disagree. Of course you could be upset, but talk to them in love. You are one. The two shall leave their mother and father and become one. So you are one. So anytime you're harming your spouse with your words or actions, you're really harming yourself. So you got to make sure that you're doing everything in love and remembering that you love this person. So you don't want to hurt this person with your words, because people say words don't hurt, but words do hurt.
They do. Last thing that we can probably put on this, just to kind of help guide you a little bit, is as you have this disagreement, this argument, whatever you call it, keep it about what you're actually upset about.
Yeah.
Don't start going outside the lines and pulling up past stuff and throwing all these different hurtful things at each other from other events. Keep it about what you're actually upset about, and then learn to dissect that issue, whatever that problem is. Talk about that specifically. Address that. Figure out ways to work out the situation around that. But whatever you do, don't go outside of the lines and begin to pull out other stuff that has nothing at all to do with what you're upset about.
That's good.
Make sure that you keep it about the main thing, which is whatever you are upset about in that moment. So these are some things that you can just do to make sure you are keeping your relationship healthy and happy. Listen, everybody has disagreements. Everybody has times where they're not getting along the way that they really want to, or the way that you were getting along when you were dating each other, when you first got married. These moments come up, but you have to learn how to, I think, as you said, diffuse these things so that it doesn't become something bigger. Because anything that you let sit around and become an issue, it begins to fester and it begins to eat away at other areas of your relationship.
Yes.
So don't let these things sit. If you need a moment to cool off, go and cool off. But make sure you come back to it and address the issue so that it's not something that's growing and causing problems and that will come up later down the line. So just some little tips that we wanted to give you guys to have the best relationship possible. As anything that we would say, keep God in it and let God lead and guide you. And then make sure you constantly work on it together. It is a team effort, something that you have to do together. No one can be in a relationship alone. So make sure you're both in it and working at it together.
Yes.